It was a quiet Sunday morning when I first realized something was off. I had just finished my coffee and was stepping out to check the yard when I noticed a car parked in front of my guest house. At first, I thought maybe it was a delivery truck or someone visiting the neighbor. But as I approached the house, I couldn't help but feel that familiar knot of anxiety form in my stomach. There was something strange about the way the car was parked. It wasn't exactly in the driveway, more like it had just been left in the middle of the yard, almost as if it had been abandoned. I looked around. The neighborhood was calm, the air still, and the sunlight gently filtering through the trees. But my instincts told me that something wasn't right. I approached the guest house with a slight hesitation, and as I got closer, I could hear voices inside. It was a woman's voice, one I instantly recognized. Karen, my neighbor. Karen was, to put it bluntly, a piece of work. She had been living in the neighborhood for years, and while I had tried to be polite and cordial, her entitled attitude always seemed to get in the way. She was one of those people who thought the world revolved around her, and if she didn't get exactly what she wanted, well, she'd make sure everyone knew about it. I had heard through the grapevine that she had some financial issues, but I never thought it would lead her to try anything like this. As I stood outside my guest house, a mixture of confusion and frustration took hold of me. The guest house had always been a private space, one I kept locked unless I had guests or family over. It was separate from my main house, tucked behind the backyard, and I had always taken pride in it. My wife and I had spent a lot of time turning it into a cozy retreat for ourselves, and every now and then, we'd rent it out for extra income. But we always made sure to screen potential renters and maintain control over who stayed there. Stepped forward cautiously, deciding to peek through the window. What I saw was enough to make my blood boil. There, standing in my guest house, was Karen, smiling and chatting with what appeared to be a couple. They looked like they were in their mid-30s, dressed casually in vacation clothes, carrying luggage as if they were preparing to stay for an extended period. They seemed completely at ease, almost like they had been there for a while. I knew instantly what was happening. Karen, the woman who never seemed to follow the rules, had gone ahead and rented out my guest house without my permission. And to make it worse, she was doing it with strangers, people I didn't even know. My blood pressure shot up as I tried to process the situation. This was my property, my space. She had absolutely no right to do this. I stormed around the side of the house and banged on the door of the guest house. "Karen," I yelled, my voice sharp with frustration. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I could hear the muffled voices inside stop, followed by the sound of footsteps rushing toward the door. The door swung open, and there she was. Karen, looking caught off guard but somehow still managing to put on that smug, entitled smile of hers. "Oh, it's you," she said, almost as if my presence didn't bother her at all. "Well, you see, I was just helping these lovely folks out. They needed a place to stay, and I thought your guest house would be perfect." My jaw dropped. "What do you mean you thought it would be perfect? This is my guest house. Karen, you don't get to rent it out to strangers without asking me first." She shrugged, her eyes darting to the couple behind her. "They seemed like nice people, and you're not really using the place right now. I thought I was doing you a favor by renting it out. You don't need it, and I'm sure you don't mind making a little extra cash. Why are you making this so difficult?" I was seething, my hand clenched into a fist as I struggled to keep my cool. I had tried to be reasonable with Karen over the years, but this was crossing the line. You don't just go into someone's property and make decisions for them. Karen, this is my house, my property. Karen rolled her eyes completely unfazed. "Oh please, it's just a guest house. It's not like it's your main home. You don't even use it. I'm sure you don't mind the extra income." The couple behind her, clearly awkward now, shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a man, stepped forward. "We really didn't mean to cause any trouble. We were just looking for a place to stay last minute, and Karen said you wouldn't mind." I turned to them, my frustration mounting. I mind a lot. I didn't agree to rent this place out to anyone, let alone without my permission." Karen's smile faded slightly, but she wasn't about to back down. "You're making a big deal out of nothing. If you want, I can pay you for the days they've been here. How does that sound? I'm just trying to help." Okay, I was done. My patience had worn thin. "No, Karen, I want them out now." For the first time, Karen seemed to falter. She hesitated, glancing back at the couple, who were now looking increasingly uncomfortable. "Well, I don't know about that," she said, crossing her arms defensively. "They've already paid for the week. You can't just kick them out after they've settled in." I pulled out my phone, my mind racing. "You think I'm going to just let you walk all over me like this? I'll call the authorities if I have to. You can't just do whatever you want on my property." At that moment, Karen's demeanor shifted. She looked around and seemed to make a snap decision. Without warning, she whipped out her phone and dialed 911. My eyes widened in disbelief as she put the phone to her ear, her voice suddenly full of false urgency. "Yes, I need to report an emergency," Karen said, her voice shaky as she faked distress. "My neighbor is threatening me. He's trying to kick out my guests and I'm scared for my safety. Please send help right away." I couldn't believe it. She was trying to flip the script, make me the villain in this situation, but I knew better. I wasn't about to let her manipulate this any further. Karen, I shouted, my voice rising in disbelief. You're the one who's breaking the law. Fear not me. But she ignored him, speaking into the phone in exaggerated tones. Yes, officer. He's yelling at me, and I'm just trying to help these people. Please hurry. The line went quiet for a moment, as I stood there, furious. But then, just as quickly, the couple grabbed their bags and scurried out of the guest house. They must have realized that the situation was escalating quickly, and they didn't want to get caught up in whatever Karen was trying to pull. Before I could say anything else, Karen snapped her phone shut, looking smug. I'm sure the police will be here soon, she said with that irritating self-righteous grin on her face. And when they get here, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do. I didn't wait around for the police to arrive. I knew they'd figure out the situation quickly enough. Instead, I turned on my heels and walked back to my house, furious, but also feeling a sense of victory. Karen had once again overplayed her hand, and this time, there was no way she was going to win. The police never showed up. A couple of days later, I got a visit from an officer who simply wanted to check the story. I explained everything calmly, showing him proof that the guest house was indeed my property, and the officer left with a chuckle. Well, it seems your neighbor might have gotten a bit ahead of herself, he said, shaking his head. As for Karen, she was forced to pay for her own guests' accommodations, and when the word got out about what she had done, the neighborhood's opinion of her soured even more. As for me, I knew this wouldn't be the last time Karen would try something like this, but I was ready for her next move. But this time, I wasn't backing down. I had fought for my space and my rights, and I had won.